R to the EK to the S, Rhythmatic Eternal King Supreme. Shout out to Breaking Records Radio, doing a thing. We doing our thing over here. Things is in the building.
Hey yo, it's your boy Monster Man Rocco.
It's your boy Swagger Rock.
This is Snack the Ripper.
You have to go, you don't know.
Master Ace. You are now rocking with the best. Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records, man.
Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records.
Breaking Records.
Breaking Records Radio. Let's go.
Breaking Records Radio.
Press 5-9. Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records, man. Radio is like the place to be. I don't know. Fuck strange music, dude.
And actually, that's one thing I wanted to ask about too, like with that album, because you kind of took almost a little bit of a brief hiatus before that album, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I took a little break. I was getting a lot of recording in. It was me going back because I kind of flip flopped between the projects where I was doing one-offs with like one producer.
Yeah.
So I had the joint with I had the full album with Statik Selektah, then I had the full album with Mnemonics. I had the full album with Hazardous Sounds, and so I wanted to take a little break so I can go back to that other recipe. Because prior to those three projects, the last album was the Reks album.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go back to that kind of energy and atmosphere. Well, actually, I did do in between those kind of the Revolution Cocktail, which was self-released and a mixture of different producers and what have you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite like those ones where I get classic production from cats like The Alchemist and Evidence and Not and Large Professor.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you're right. Is that why you ended up doing a double album too? Because like was that intentional, or was it just the fact that you were recording all these songs and they all and it had been a minute, so you decided to put them all out as one collective, or like did you have a different idea going into it originally?
I originally was not planning for a double album, and the material just started building up. To be honest, I recorded maybe like 70 to 75 songs for that project.
Holy shit.
I was recording so many records at that period in time, and it was just and specifically with that project in mind. And so I have so much material that didn't make the great effects,
Yeah.
It's just there, and it was an idea that became a double disc just based off the fact that for the sheer volume of material that I had, it was quantity, but I knew it was quality. And so I was like, why not do that? Never had entertained doing something like that. And a lot of times when cats do the double disc album, it's like it's a real risky approach.
Yeah. Because
the majority of the time those albums don't really pan out too well. But I wanted to take on that challenge, and I was happy with the result.
And was that the first album you put out under your new label that you started?
It wasn't. That was the first one when I started to I was already kind of thinking outside of the motive of individuals I was working with. Statik Selektah is always going to be fam, and the Show Off fam is always going to be fam. But we were kind of moving in different creative directions. So, at the time of actually Revolutionary is when we kind of started to do our different things.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to go a little more political, with my records. I've always had political records and socially conscious, but my records were leaning further along that line and scope. So, we just had creative differences on the way we were going to approach things, and it led to that. And that's around the time where I started to do my own thing. But the imprint, the actual first release was this last record I put out called Order and Chaos with Short Fuse.
Okay, so that was the first official one. Yeah, that
was the first official on BMGI.
Yeah, because I was curious why you left Show Off, because I knew there obviously wasn't any bad blood, because you guys continue to work together to this day. So I was always kind of curious why that happened. I think it was around that time, if I'm not mistaken. So so I was curious about that.
Like I said, creative differences and like just ideas and views that kind of don't coincide consistently across like the scope of an album.
Yeah.
Whereas like we put out some magnificent records, I feel, together, and those are things that we can like hold on forever, part of our legacy. And since then, Statik has consistently churned out like phenomenal work. He's the like hardest working cat out there, and I just have made it my life's goal to like do my due diligence about the products I put out and the outcome.